time for a Queen City Spotlight here on The Crown, and I am honored to be joined by Bengals Assistant General Manager Steve Radicevic. Steve, appreciate you spending some time and stopping by the studio.
Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
So I have to start off by asking the big splash of the offseason, the Bengals trading for a guy like Dexter Lawrence. Just what would your reaction have been if I told you on January 1st that Dexter Lawrence was going to be a Bengal in just a few short months?
Excited, fired up. He's a difference maker, and we're really excited to see what he can bring to our team.
Steve, with bringing in a guy like Dexter Lawrence, just as much as you can share, just what goes into a trade like that, and what was that process like?
Again, there's a lot of meetings on it. You have to make sure that you're able to fit him on the cap, right? And Katie and Troy did a good job of making that happen. We had to make sure the compensation was right with the Giants, and again, that was a lot of meetings, conversations, and then once you get comfortable enough to pull the trigger, we were able to do it.
About how long does something, a process like that, usually kind of take?
It just depends. With this one, it was a few weeks. Someone that we had wanted to target before, but just were never able to do it. This one was a couple-week process.
Obviously, Dexter's reputation, speaks for itself. He's the best nose tackle in football. But why was he a player that this team wanted to target, and how do you see him fitting in?
Really, again, just to hit on who he is as a person. We did all our research. We did all our homework on him. We talked to players that have been around him. We talked to coaches that have been around him. We felt like he was going to be someone that would be able to come in and elevate our locker room, elevate our club just as a person. Now, as a player, the tape pretty much speaks for itself. When you watch the guy on tape, he's constantly taking on double teams. He's able to split the double team. He's still able to affect the quarterback just in terms of who he is as a pass rusher and how much power he has to bowl and collapse a pocket. And that we felt like that was something that we were missing last year. So when you have a guy like that that's able to drive centers back, and now you've got DNs that kind of are able to close the edge, we felt like in terms of what he was going to be able to bring to our defense, he was going to be able to benefit us.
So you mentioned a lot of meetings, a lot of time goes into this process, but what is it like for you when it's finally over, it's official, Dexter's a Bengal? Is it like a big sigh of relief almost?
Yeah, again, there were so many layers to it, and I would say it just really started to pick up the weekend that it happened going into it. We're talking to the Giants. We finally get the green light to move forward with it. We were able to negotiate and try to get a contract in a good place with his representatives. And, even then, you didn't feel great about it because you still need to bring him out and you need to go through the physical part of it. We brought him out. Everything checked out. And, it is a huge sigh of relief when you're able to finally get that processed.
And it also just speaks volumes that, the team had never traded a top 10 draft pick before, but obviously a guy like Dexter, warranted moving on from the 10th overall pick to bring in a caliber player like him.
Yeah, it's something that we had to discuss tirelessly, and it was meeting after meeting, and are we making the right decision for the club? And we felt like at the end of the day, it was the right decision, and we are very happy with having done it.
What does a move like this kind of say to, the fan base or even, the other players in the locker room that the team went out and brought in a Dexter Lawrence and gave up, a top 10 draft pick to do so?
Yeah, I mean, we felt like we needed to take a swing, and we did. And again, we feel like he is not only going to be able to impact our club this year, but for future years, and hopefully get us to what our goal is.
The fan base has just been so excited and, reinvigorated by this. Has that same kind of jolt and energy been felt through the front office and between the players and coaching staff?
No doubt about it. I mean, you feel the energy in there every day with the players working out. There is a different, you can feel the energy and the presence that he brings in that locker room. There's players that, I just see following him through the locker room, trying to learn from him, trying to see what, obviously the experience that he has in this game, and try to pick little things here and there from him. And all in all, you can just feel the energy from the club out there.
Now, Steve, this is your 15th season with the club. Just where does this offseason maybe rank for you? Just, when you look back kind of, at all the off seasons you've been a part of.
I don't know if I can put a specific ranking on it, but I will say that it was one of the more exciting off seasons that we've had. It took, we do have a process in terms of how we evaluate players and how we stack them on the board and how we stack them in free agency. There are always going to be twists and turns, and you can't predict where players are going to sign in free agency, and you can't predict where they're going to get drafted. But we have a good plan and a good process to attack it in free agency and attack it in the draft, and we are very excited with how everything shook out.
Now, earlier this offseason, Joe Burrow had his press conference media availability, and he said in there, "We are going to win a Super Bowl." It sounded like a fact coming from Joe. When your franchise quarterback comes out and says something like that, just what kind of, energy or, what does that do for a front office and an organization?
That's our goal. That's why we all sign up. That's why we signed up for this job. That's why the players signed up. We're all here to win a Super Bowl, and we're all invested heavily into it. We're all putting the time in to get to that, to try to get to that ring. And obviously, Joe making a comment like that, and that's why we're signed up to do this. We want to win a Super Bowl.
I don't think there's any doubt about it that Joe, along with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, all seem like they're in their prime right now of their career. Is there any added, pressure or feeling that, this is the window, this is the time to now go get that ring?
You feel it, I think, every year. I think every team's the same way. Like everyone feels like it's a year-to-year business, but we're going to win it this year. We're going to win it next year. We feel like we've constructed a roster that's good enough this year, and it's going to be good enough for future years to set up to where we can be a successful franchise for years to come.
Now, with that roster you've built, Joe also said this is the most talented group and talented roster that he's been a part of. Just as one of the guys who helped construct that roster, just what do you take away when you hear, someone like Joe making such a bold statement like that?
It's a positive comment, right? You're not going to take it in a negative way, but obviously we're not done. Like, we still feel like there's work on our end that we need to do, and are we happy with where things are and the way the offseason went out? Yes, but we're still working to try to build as many pieces as we can to try to get us the Super Bowl ring.
I know it's easy for fans to just say, go out and sign a player, go out and do this, go out and do that. But there's so much more that really goes into, especially when it comes to the salary cap and some of the limitations that you guys have. Just what's maybe something that fans misunderstand about the cap, or just the way that you guys are able to kind of construct contracts or spend the money?
Yeah, there's always that part of it, right? Like, you wish you can go out and sign as many players as you want and as many players as you can, but we have to try to make it fit, and we don't want to do things that will hurt this team in the long run, but we also want to build our team to win now. Mm-hmm. So there is a balance to it, and I think ownership and Katie and Troy do a great job of managing the cap and handling it the right way, and again, not putting the team in jeopardy in the next couple years, and setting us up to where we can have long-term success.
So not only did the team make splashes in free agency, but the draft was a huge weekend for this organization too. Before we get into talking too much about some of these draft picks that are now on the roster, just what is your favorite part about draft weekends?
The favorite part of draft weekend for me personally is just you spend so much time in the fall, time away from your family, time away from your kids. You're going into school visits. You're getting as much background as you can on players. You're spending time with coaches. You're spending time with players at All-Star games. You're interviewing them. You're watching the tape. You're spending countless of hours meeting as a staff and trying to stack the board. And then here you are. It's a 3-day process during the draft, and it's a cool feeling when you're able to select players that you've personally and as a group worked on and are able to bring to this club.
I know analytics has been talked about so much over the years too. Has that changed much of the scouting process maybe over the last couple of years?
To us, it's a tool, and it's a useful tool. We have a great group of people that research on that end, and it's a useful tool. Just as everything else that we incorporate when we're drafting a player, from the medical staff to the strength staff, again, to the analytics. We're looking at the whole package as a player, and how does he fit for our club, and how is he going to build us for long-term success.
With the 41st pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, the Cincinnati Bengals select Cassius Howell, defensive end, Texas A&M.
Some of those draft picks that are now Bengals. On the defensive side, obviously, like Cassius Howell, to me, was one of the bigger splashes. They shocked he was still there in the second round. Just how do you see him and Takario and some of the, the young defensive players, presenting on this team?
Again, it's a group that we spent a lot of time on as a group, whether we brought them in for visits, we spent time with them at the school visit, we spent time talking to their coaches. Collectively, it's a young core group. They're all talented, so we know that part just from watching the tape. But again, we feel confident in who they are as people, players, their competitiveness, their willingness to win, and they all want to win a Super Bowl. And it's an exciting group. Another thing that I think sticks out to me with a lot of the players that we drafted this year is just their position versatility. And we didn't draft players that can just line up and play at one position. We feel like they're players that can line up at multiple spots. It's a talented group that has the right mentality.
What about a guy too like Colby Young? All the talent in the world coming into kind of a crowded receivers room. When you look at Jamar and T and then Andre in that room, just is the thought to have him really come in and compete for playing time, but then also on special teams?
Yeah, that would be more so a question for the coaches. But again, just as a player and doing the eval, he is and just watching in the last few weeks, he's a big, tall, rangy receiver that has really good catch radius. I'm excited to see when he gets in pads. And again, the fun thing is just the way that these guys are wired, and it'll be fun to watch them put on pads and compete during training camp.
I'm excited to see too, some of the younger guys take that next step in their development, like Amarius Mims and Dylan Fairchild. Just how important is their development and growth to what this team is looking to do?
It's funny. I mean, you see the growth in them in the maturity and the leadership that they're starting to take on in the locker room. As you hit on Amarius, just seeing him kind of take on some of these younger guys on the practice field, and it's wild because and time flies, right? Like you still picture him as a rookie out there, but he's not. Like he's starting to come into his own, and it is fun seeing some of those players that we drafted a couple years ago starting to develop now as leaders and take some of these younger guys on that we drafted.
What's it like when you're evaluating, especially offensive linemen? Obviously, the team added 2 more in the draft this year with Brian Parker and Connor Liu, and just seeing how those evaluations, kind of come to fruition then when you actually see those guys out on the field.
Yeah, we all know athletically they're what we wanted, right? Like the biggest test will be once they put on pads and they're lined up against Dexter Lawrence and BJ and Jonathan Allen and some of the other guys that we've got in the interior. So that'll be the biggest test for them. But right now we're happy with the way they're looking during OTAs and moving and the way they're picking it up. And they're both really smart, high football IQ players that are competitive.
So there is a couple of guys that are up for extensions, DJ Turner and Dax Hill being, 2 of the bigger headliner names. When it comes to, those guys and some of the others that could be, up for an extension, just is there a priority level or hope that, one or more of these get done before the season starts?
The players that we drafted, so we want to try to keep them. Again, when I kind of go back to this cap situation and where we are, there's things that we're going to have to work through, and they're priority players to us. They've made huge plays and have made huge impacts on our club over the last couple of years, and we're going to work to try to get some of these players locked in long term.
I feel like too, especially for both DJ and Dax, they had to go through some adversity early in their career, but really the 2 of them seemed to break out last season. What's that like for you in the scouting department, knowing what you saw out of them in college and that they could be big contributors and playmakers for this team and really seeing it come to life last year?
Yeah, I mean, to me, that's how you kind of that's a success of a draft, right? Like you ideally, the first part is getting them in the building, and then how do they develop and how do they fit into the scheme that we're trying to implement. I think once those players started to get more comfortable in what we were doing on that side of the ball, you could see their confidence start to rise, their play start to rise. So yeah, again, it is a good feeling once they start getting on the field and once they start making contributions to the team and playing at a high level and getting comfortable with the scheme.
So right now the team is in the midst of the offseason program, OTAs, and then minicamp is going to be rolling up here in June. Just what is the importance for this time for you in the scouting department? Is it evaluating the talent and who's on the roster here in Cincinnati, or is it starting to game plan or map out what the rest of the season, off season might look like, and then eventually getting into going out and scouting the college athletes?
Yeah. So just this point of the year. Again, like the rookies are just on the field. They're just kind of running through more athletic type drills, a little bit of team, seeing how they pick it up. As a scouting department, we'll all go out to Marco Island for national meetings this week and try to get a rundown on next year's draft players. So we are starting to get a jump start on that now. When we come back, we'll finish up OTAs. We'll have a break once that last OTA break happens. When we come back, then that's our focus is just, okay, what do we have on our roster now? Maybe some areas that we need to improve on, and then we'll start digging in on pro tape on other teams as the preseason games start to roll and evaluating the current players that we have on our roster.
For those rookies who are on the field for the first time with all these veterans and the coaching staff, what's the biggest thing you're looking for, to see out of some of these young players?
Really, how fast can they pick it up? And there's a lot that gets thrown at them. Especially this early, and really it's how fast can they pick it up, how fast can they process it, how fast can they take it out on the field and learn it.
Do you feel like at this point, as we sit here, getting ready for June, that the roster is in a pretty good spot, or is it, would you like to, maybe add, pieces here or there?
I think we feel pretty good with where it currently is. It's like anything. It's last year I've kind of hit on this a few times with some of the late additions we had last year with Dalton. It's never complete and it's never set. You're always looking at areas that you can improve on, but I think currently at this point we do feel pretty good with where it's at.
Not even one full year in Cincinnati, but what was your general impression of how you fit, how you felt about your time here with the Bengals?
Man, I've loved wearing the stripes from the moment I stepped in here. I feel like my whole career, throwing it all the way back to draft prep, the Cincinnati Bengals fans have been calling for Reisner to be in Cincinnati. So it was such a blessing, looking at the camera, for a few of these to be able to come here and to be able to be welcomed by you fans, be welcomed and be a Cincinnati Bengal. It was truly a pleasure for me, man.
With a guy like Dalton who, came in and seems like he's fit so seamlessly into that offensive line, what was, that evaluation and, process like with him leading up to, him becoming a Bengal?
Constant communication with his agent. We talked all throughout last year, throughout the offseason, throughout OTAs, throughout training camp, and really it just was a matter of fit. And we were fortunate that we were able to make it work with him here, and he felt like this was a good fit for him. We felt like it was a good fit for us, and obviously it was, and he had a good season for us last year, and it paid off for him this year.
With the way he played last season and just that chemistry he had on the offensive line, did that feel like we definitely want to bring Dalton back for 2026?
No doubt about it. Yeah, he's wired the right way. He's in terms of the leadership and the presence that he brings in the locker room, he's what we wanted. He's great for Mims in terms of how they work through a lot of the stuff on the front last year in terms of communication. And so yeah, he's definitely someone that we're excited to get back this year.
Definitely excited he's back in the building too. And when you look at, the goals that this team has, I know getting back into the playoffs, certainly up there amongst the priority level, but do you feel like missing the playoffs the last 3 seasons, did that add any extra sense of urgency over at Paycor Stadium?
Yeah, no doubt. It's frustrating. It's things happen throughout the course of the NFL season. You never want to be watching playoff games at home, and it does keep you up at night, no doubt about it. And we all felt it. We all felt like we needed to get better. And yeah, so it's definitely something that, yeah, in terms of urgency, we all felt it.
Do you feel like, just given the moves that this, front office has made in the offseason, the talent roster returning in 2026, could this be somewhat of a defining season for the organization?
I don't know if you could say it's defining, but I do think it's a strong group of players that have played together now for some time, and I think it's a talented group, and it's a group that we have to go out and try to win a Super Bowl this year.
When you're going through the offseason moves, and especially when it comes to the draft and that evaluation process, is there a challenge of balancing that win now mentality, but also making sure you're building for the future?
No doubt about it. There's always a balance, and there's a balance to it. You don't want to just try to put all your chips in on this year, and then you're looking next year and you're sitting at home. It's you want to try to set up your team for long-term success, but you also want to win this year. So yeah, there is a balance to it, and again, I think a lot of that has to do with our cap, and ownership does a great job of managing it and setting us up to be in a spot to where we're not crunched for money and able to fit players like Dexter Lawrence in.
And you had kind of said it, but the goal is to go out and win a Super Bowl. This team wants to win now. Why is this team capable of reaching those goals in 2026?
Again, I always go back to the type of players that are in that locker room. They're all wired the right way. They're all competitive. They all hate to lose. So yeah, it's a different feel than it's been, I think, just with the moves that we've made. Again, with the addition of Dexter. But yeah, I think collectively as a group, everyone has the same goal. Everyone wants to win, and you feel it when you're walking through there.
It's interesting you say that it feels different, because I've felt that too, just from the outside, just seeing the moves that the team has made, and just the feeling from fans around Cincinnati too. But why has this felt different to you?
Again, no one wants to sit at home and watch the playoffs. And last year was unfortunate. It was a poor season, and we don't want to feel that way again. We want to try to win as many games as possible, and we've worked hard to try to set it up to where we're hopeful that happens this year.
I think it'll happen this year. Steve, so excited for the season to get rolling around here in September. Appreciate you stopping by, and that's been your Queen City Spotlight.
Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.